Listen, because this matters. There will come a time when those you trusted, those you believed in, will turn their backs on you. And it will feel like the ground beneath you has crumbled, like you've been left standing alone in the wreckage of something you thought was unbreakable. It will be painful, it will be unjust, and it will shake your faith in people. At some point in your life, you will be betrayed. It might be a friend who turns their back on you, a colleague who undermines you, or a loved one who breaks your trust. When it happens, it will feel personal. Because it is personal. The pain of betrayal is not just about the loss of trust. It is about the collapse of a belief, the shattering of a connection you once thought was unbreakable. It will feel like an attack on your very identity. And when you find yourself in that moment, you will have a choice. You can allow betrayal to consume you, to define you, to drag you down into bitterness and resentment, or you can see it for what it truly is. A test of your strength, a test of your character, a test of whether you will allow the darkness of others to corrupt the light within you. It is easy, so easy to let betrayal turn you into something lesser. The temptation to retaliate, to seek vengeance, to become cynical and distrusting of everyone around you will be overwhelming. But if you give in to that, if you let the treachery of others dictate your actions, then you have already lost. Because betrayal is not just about what they did to you, it is about how you respond to it. You must understand that betrayal is not an indication of your failure. It is a reflection of theirs. When someone chooses to betray you, they are revealing more about themselves than they are about you, their dishonesty, their disloyalty, their lack of integrity. These are their burdens to bear, not yours. Your responsibility is not to sink to their level, but to rise above it, to walk away from the fire without letting it burn you. And here's the hard truth. Betrayal is a test that you will face more than once. People are flawed. They are selfish. They act in ways that serve their own short-term interests without considering the damage they inflict on others. But you cannot let that break you. You cannot let it make you weak. If anything, betrayal should be the very thing that forges you into something stronger. Because when you endure betrayal and refuse to be destroyed by it, you prove something, not to them, but to yourself. You prove that you are not easily shaken, that your values, your integrity, and your principles are not dependent on the actions of others. You prove that no matter what they take from you, they cannot take you. So when betrayal comes, and it will come, stand firm. Feel the pain, but do not let it define you. See it for what it is, a test, and then decide in that moment that you will pass it, that you will rise above it, that you will not let the worst of others bring out the worst in you. Because in the end, those who betray will face their own consequences. But you will be too far ahead to care. It might not happen today, it might not happen tomorrow. But understand this. Those who betray, deceive, and manipulate are setting themselves up for a reckoning. It is a fundamental law of existence. Call it karma, call it justice, call it the natural order of things. Whatever name you give it, the reality remains the same. No one escapes the consequences of their actions forever. People who deceive think they are getting ahead. They believe they are outsmarting the system, taking shortcuts and bending reality to their will. They think that by lying, backstabbing, and betraying, they are securing an advantage over others. And for a time, it may appear as though they are winning. They may enjoy the spoils of their deceit, revel in their temporary victories, and even convince themselves that they are untouchable. You cannot build a meaningful life on a foundation of lies. You cannot maintain trust when you have spent your life breaking it. You cannot expect loyalty when you have only ever acted in your own selfish interest. There will come a moment, a critical, inevitable moment, when everything they have built upon deceit begins to collapse. And when that happens, there will be no one left to save them. Because that's the nature of betrayal. It is not just an act against another person, it is an act against oneself. The betrayer believes they are only hurting you, but in reality, they are sowing the seeds of their own destruction. They may succeed in causing you pain, but they have also set a trap for themselves. Their reputation will crumble, their relationships will erode, their sense of security will be shattered. And the worst part, they will have no one to blame but themselves. And this is why you do not need to waste your energy on vengeance. You do not need to chase them down, expose them, or dedicate your life to making them suffer. Because life will take care of that for you. The weight of their own actions will catch up with them in ways you could never orchestrate. It may be slow, it may be subtle, but it will happen. Their lies will catch up to them. Their manipulations will backfire. Their betrayals will leave them alone, surrounded only by the consequences of their own choices. So let them think they have won. Let them believe they have outmaneuvered you. Let them enjoy their false victories while they last, because while they are too focused on their own selfish gains, they are blind to the inevitable collapse that awaits them. And you will have moved on. You will have grown, strengthened, and risen above their games. You will be so far ahead that when their downfall comes, you won't even care to look back. Betrayal can shatter your trust in people. It can make you question everything, your choices, your judgment, even your own worth. When someone you once relied on turns against you, the pain is not just in what they did, but in what it makes you feel about yourself. The temptation in that moment is to sink, to become cynical, to close yourself off, to retaliate in anger. But that is not the path forward. The world is full of people who let betrayal define them. They let the pain consume them until it twists their very nature. They become bitter, resentful, and filled with a need for revenge. They justify their own dishonesty because they have been lied to. They justify their own cruelty because they have been wronged. And in doing so, they become no different from those who betrayed them. They lose their integrity not because someone took it from them, but because they gave it up in the pursuit of vengeance. Your responsibility, your duty, is to rise above it, to refuse to let the betrayal of others dictate your character. Because who you are is not determined by what has been done to you, but by how you respond. And that response must be one of strength. That does not mean you should be naive. It does not mean you should ignore the lessons betrayal teaches you. Learn from it. Let it sharpen your awareness, refine your judgment, and teach you whom to trust. But do not let it turn you into something lesser than you were meant to be. Keep your integrity intact even when it feels like the world does not reward it. Because while deception may bring short-term success, integrity builds something far greater, a foundation that cannot be shaken. And justice will come. Maybe not in the way you expect, maybe not on the timeline you wish for, but it will come. The people who act with dishonesty, who betray and manipulate, are setting themselves up for their own downfall. You do not need to chase after them, to waste your energy seeking revenge. Reality has a way of balancing itself. Their choices will catch up with them. They will face the consequences of their actions. Not by your hand, but by the very nature of how the world works. In the meantime, your focus must be on your own path. Keep moving forward. Keep building. Keep becoming the person that their betrayal tried to break. Because in the end, their choices will lead them to their own destruction. But you will have risen so far beyond them that their downfall will no longer matter to you. Let them face what is coming. Your job is not to sink with them. It is to rise above them.